Hey there. Okay, we're going to take a look now at the code in QSTK for computing event studies. In QSTK, the code is actually called an event profiler. Different words for the same thing. Here, real quick, is what some of the early event profiles looked like. Here is an example of the output of the code from QSTK. Similar way to McKinley's chart, you see 0 days being right in the middle there. If you go back before the event, there's negative days. Those are just days before the event. The event happens at 0, and then going forward, the dark blue line is the mean return of all the events. In this case, there were 1,700 events, and the upper and lower bounds there show you confidence intervals. It's actually the standard deviation of all of the events that occurred. A couple of things to point out here. You should, when you're doing this work, you should, well, by default, it does market relative returns. So if the whole market was going down, but your stock for a particular event was remaining above that, you would see positive return. So be sure to use market relative, and the symbol we use for the market is SPY, which is the ETF that tracks S&P 500. Okay. The places to find it, there's on the wiki, there's a tutorial 9 that goes into depth about the code. I'm going to go into some detail right now. The code that you're to work from is in QSTK examples, event profiler. Let me quickly show you the wiki page relating to this. Make the text a little bit bigger. Let's go to QSTK, and it's tutorial 9. Not that large. Okay. The key thing that happens in the event profiler and code that you need to write, and there's examples there that does most of it for you. You just have to make some small changes. Is that you need to fill in an event matrix, highlighted here in blue. So when you read in all the equities, there's a column for each equity, and then each row is a date. And whenever there's a 1 in this matrix, it indicates that for that equity, on that date, there was an event. And the way that we're going to fill that in is we're going to iterate through the matrix, through the price matrix, look for signals in price, and when there is a signal, we're going to put a 1 there. If there's no signal, in other words, nothing happened, we leave it nan, which means there's nothing going on. So again, fill in this event matrix. Initially fill it with nans, but then put 1s where there are events. Now, just to sort of tell you in advance, I want you to create a program that looks for price events, in particular when the actual close of the stock drops below $5. Why is that an interesting event? Well, whenever a stock drops below $5, lots of things happen. In particular, there are rules governing which indices it can be on. I believe for S&P 500, if a stock drops below $5, it's not allowed to be on the S&P 500. There's lots of rules that mutual funds have about holding stocks, and they won't hold stocks below $5. Also, typically, options don't frequently cover stocks below $5. So it's a big event when a stock drops below $5. Important aspect is you need to look for actual close, not adjusted close, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. Anyways, once you fill in this matrix with just a couple for loops, you then hand it over to the rest of the code, and it'll generate a plot like this for you, showing the event and then what happens to the price after the event. This particular event, and the event that's in the code, is it looks for days on which there was a drop in S&P 500, I think by 3%, and then a requirement that the particular stock we're looking at drops even further. So you can see consistently in the days leading up to the event, things are going down, but in the immediate day before, and this is a definition of the event, there's a big drop. You see that here. But then you see the stock, on average, recovers a bit from that. Let's look at the code now. I'm going to run through this kind of quickly. Okay, this making it large so you can see it, I hope. Let me show you where this code is. All right, we're in my. I'm doing this on a Mac. We're in my home directory, QSTK examples event profiler, and there you can find this example code tutorial.py. Now let's take a look at it. Now this, I realize this is your first time now looking at QSTK code, so let me step you through it. This one was written by Saurabh. Thanks, Saurabh. Okay, these are comments up here at the top. Then there's a bunch of import statements. We use pandas, of course. There's some utilities for QSTK. You import NumPy, math, and so on. An important utility that we use a lot is dateutil. QSTK's dateutil. Anyways, all of these are just bringing in modules for you to use later. There's some discussion here about the event matrix you need to fill in. Now we're in the let me show you this. Let's see. Just looking for what we're doing here. Okay. So up here at the top, we set a few variables that are important. We're using the Yahoo data that you've downloaded already. In this particular example, we're using close, which is adjusted close prices. But for your assignment, you need to use actual close. This comment just tells you what's available. Okay. Now, a function you need to change is find events. We go ahead and have examples here of reading the data in. The start day is fed in. For your project, you should start January 1, 2008. End day should be December 31st, 2009. Anyways, this line gets all the days that the New York Stock Exchange was open between those two periods, and then we read in the data. Now in this particular example, we're reading in close, but you need to read in adjusted close for your project. Okay, I'm going to skip down to where we compute the events. One thing that's important in this particular example, we're using daily returns in the example code. For your project, do not use daily returns, and be sure not to execute this statement, returnize, which converts everything to daily returns. Okay, that is in this particular example, but for your example, you're just using raw price values. Okay, this loop here, all it's doing is cycling through the whole matrix and setting everything to NaN, so that, there's no event. Okay. Now we step down to where we fill the matrix in. Sorry, my lines are wrapping a little bit, but again, we 2 for loops across every date and then across every equity, and this single line here looks for situations where S&P 500 dropped 3%, and the market relative price dropped another 5%. So the stock must have dropped at least 8% for this to trigger an event. And that happened actually a lot during some of the periods we're looking at. Anyways, in this particular example, not the one for your assignment, when both those things occurred, we define that as an event and we put a 1 there. And when we're done, we return that event matrix, and the code takes care of plotting that. Here's the main code. Just before we call that, we set the start date, the end date, and then find events to fill it in. Then we call event profiler to set things up, and then to complete a study. Be sure to set market neutral equals true, because we want market relative results. Anyways, if you follow all those steps, you'll get an event profile that shows your events. And again, let's go back to the PowerPoint. This is where you can find it. You can find the tutorial and example code. So the video cut off prematurely, so I just want to recap what you're supposed to do for the homework, just to be sure we've got it. So I want you to create a version of the event profiler that takes in a set of stocks. In particular, we're going to look at those equities that were in the S&P 500 in 2008, and we're going to look for all events where any one of their actual close prices goes from above $5 to below $5. We'll actually share with you what that should look like, so you know if you're doing it right. And then, when you turn it in, we'll change the parameters a little bit, and you should rerun it and get some new numbers, and we'll ask you to fill those numbers in when you hand in your project. Anyways, you're to look at 2 sets of events, two sets of stocks. One is what was in S&P 500 in 2008, and the name of the file is there. It's sp5002008.txt. And separately, those equities that were in the S&P 500 as of 2012, but we're going to go back to 2008, 2009, and see how that event, when they go below $5, affects their performance. Now remember, it's only an event when it goes from above $5 to below $5, and if it remains below, that's not an event. It has to transition from above to below. That's an event. Anyways, once you get these answers and you look at the events, we'll talk about what they should look like. And it turns out that they're different. And there's an important reason why it's different if you use those 2 different groups of stocks. And I want you to be thinking about what difference you would expect to see as you work on this project. Okay, that's it. See you next time. Thanks a lot.